All right, thank you very much, Stephen Mbide there. Please come along with some blessings so that we too can get along with matters of God. Allow me go into business update as we inch closer to the final bend in Morning at NTV this morning and discuss financing and investment strategies in the digital age. Everything digital is trying to, well, put new trajectories across the economic and social landscape. I don't know about the politics, but that is a discussion for another day. Allow me introduce Jamila Mayombe, co-founder and chief technology officer at Iotech Limited, and Henry Kevin Wavamuno, managing director at Sunbelt Holdings, as well as Paula Kotze, who is the head of investment banking at Stanbic Bank. This is all about digitization. Let's allow Jamila Mayombe to bring us up to speed with what the thrust is.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, the digitization really, let me speak from where this started. So the Ministry of ICT launched the Digital Revolution Roadmap last year in August. And like the big idea here is for this roadmap to really play into the Uganda vision of 2040. Yeah. And the key principal element here was to enable Uganda to basically compete within the emerging technologies that are happening around the world. So we've been hearing a lot of AI, we've been hearing a lot of cloud computing, and we want Uganda to also take part in that space, right? And then the other thing is really to enhance economic development in the country, but then last and not least, to really improve the lives of all Ugandans. So like that's the big picture of the digital revolution. Okay.
Mr. Wavamuno,
yes,
you're a foot soldier in this, yes, especially with regard to your works at Sunbelt Holdings. Yeah. And I know that the thrust for digital transformation is one that is catching, you know, more or less traction, especially among the young people, the need to get onto the opportunities that come with the business. What is on ground?
So, as you understand with the digital transformation at the moment, so basically we have what we call in the business world unbanked population.
Yeah.
And right now, digital transformation is about addressing service delivery to people who have been marginally excluded in the traditional businesses that have been done. So with digital transformation, the whole goal is to leapfrog so that people in the villages, people Muntu wa wansi, Wabulijo, can access any type of information.
That's right.
For example, I want to watch Premier League. I want to see what Bitcoin is doing today. I want to bet. So people now have handsets whereby they can just log in within a few seconds, they can access this information. So the whole digital transformation is addressing key areas, and our role is to make sure that we build that infrastructure in place and bring in the key partners who are now basically investing and addressing this gap which the government is trying to address through the ICT. And one of the main objective is how do we get to everybody, and we can dive in deeper into some of those segments and dissect them.
That question leads us into the equation of investment and the resources needed for many of the players, including Mr. Wavamuno, to achieve it. And Stanbic Bank must be, of course, one of the lead actors in this. As head of investment at Stanbic Bank, I know the support structure is quite elaborate. Take us through how the digitization agenda does come up as a convenient and acceptable conversation in the boardroom.
Interestingly put question. Thank you very much. I think from our perspective, the more obvious way to contribute is to fund the telco companies as they roll out the infrastructure per their license requirements.
Yeah.
There are other partnerships that we seek then on an individual basis with fintechs with the non-bank microfinance institutions, with some of the NGO partners who finance agriculture with subsistence farmers through the technology, the phones as the route to receive the information and to make credit applications and receive financing through mobile money and FlexiPay and similar applications. So really for us, it's the big picture, national network infrastructure financing through the corporates, the towers. We also contribute to the solar panels, which help keep the towers alive, even in the event of being in remote areas, as electricity network, and distribution networks are growing to support infrastructure across the country. And really we look forward to any other kind of partnership that we could put on the table. As a banking service provider, we also provide platforms and channels to our customers to complement the work that they are doing in terms of their analysis of their business as usual. So really we can partner across the board, but I think probably the most obvious one is funding nationwide infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our portfolio allows us and enables us to support across the board.
Okay. I'll be coming to you, Mr. Ovomuno, very shortly, especially when it comes to the available funding and the architecture for venture capital. That's a very huge thing, especially for those that are seeking to come into the business. But let me allow Jamila Mayombe take us through the collaboration agenda that is available between the actors as well as government. Government many times is seen as a slow actor because of the bureaucracy, and the pace of technology does not really find that kind of pace acceptable. How do you find harmony, especially with regard to policy rollout and then the need to do business in time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when you think about like that digital transformation movement, it cannot be left to the public sector only to handle it. It has to be partnership between the private sector and the public sector. And the way these partnerships can work is if the different players all play the roles in which they are strongest, right? So government really comes in setting up like the foundational infrastructure. So that is like the internet connectivity that is required for all of us to be able to access the internet.
That's right.
The power connectivity, like electricity, to make sure that, we know we can't run the internet without electricity. So the government is really strong in making sure that that infrastructure is available. And then what we as private sector can do is build the software that runs on top of the rails. So that's where private sector comes in. IoTech has been able to do that. We are building a software as a service platform to enable MFIs and SMEs do their businesses online. So we can do that. But then the places where we can partner is in terms of bringing together policy. So government cannot come along and create policy without really understanding how these services are run. That's where we as the private sector come in to partner with public sector to make sure that as much as we are doing governance, we're doing it rightly so that we don't harm the businesses, but then also the economy benefits from all of it.
Okay, it's always very important to meet the regulation requirements that are laid out by any one government. And Mr. Ovomuno, venture capital, people need to understand, where does the money come from? Actors like Stanbic Bank are big on it, but there must be another mechanism that allows for that to flourish.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a very pertinent question. Like in any economy, you need to fund all this innovation and transformation. One of the pillars, I sit here today again in another capacity, as I sit on the board of ICT, and also I sit on the board of FITSPA, which is the Financial Technology Partners Association, as the vice chair. On that, a study was done 2 years ago to look at the digital infrastructure in terms of the funding needs. Right now, we have about 230 plus fintechs that are looking for funding. And as I speak with you today, ABI, one of our partners, who's a partner with Stanbic Bank, they have come up with a proposal with the Melinda Gates Foundation to seed this innovation fund. So that means our young people who are programmers, who are doing software development, like Jamila, who has a new fintech, can be able to access this critical capital that you wouldn't walk into a traditional bank and get to help you to analyze this. So this is already taking place, and we have actors who are in the country, and then also government has a fund through science and technology, which is called the Innovation Fund, and that fund is addressing the new economy, and one of those is through digitalization. So government is putting some money aside as well, but private sector is pushing ahead in providing capital.
Paula, give us the last one.
I think today's discussion is a shining example of the way people who perform a different role can come together to propel the digitization of Uganda for economic growth, for financial inclusion, for access to information, all of which I think we've got statistics that support GDP growth, but really it's the growth of Uganda, and the target is every person in Uganda will have access to information, on the back of which is access to financing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paula Kotze, Head of Investment Banking at Stanbic Bank, many thanks. Jamila Mayombe, Co-founder and CTO at Iotech Limited, as well as Henry Kevin Wavamuno, many thanks for the submissions. And that's it for Morning at 10 TV. It's been a pleasure having your company. For the team behind the scenes, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.